Demand. Over 40 are operating this weekend after over 30,000 people showed up last weekend when they were held for the first time. The vast majority are for the first doses only, and they're for over 16s only. It's 2 minutes past 2.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Make it a summer to remember with a family getaway to Spain, Italy, Portugal or Greece.
Further heavy showers today with an ongoing risk of thunderstorms and spot flooding, most likely in the north. Occasionally drier spells, mainly in the south and southeast. Highest temperatures of 15 to 19 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
You're very welcome along to the Olympic show here on Off the Ball, with thanks to Indeed, proud sponsors of Team Ireland at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Indeed believes the world works better when people are given every opportunity to unleash their true talents. Check out the hashtag #TalentUnleashed at the Games today. Penultimate one for Team Ireland and for the Games itself. Stephanie Meadow finishing up in a tie for 6th place in the golf. Fine final round, her second 66 of the week, saw her finish on 12 under par. Leona Maguire was 23rd overall. Nelly Corda, the world number 1, a wire-to-wire success in the gold medal position, as she has claimed gold at the Olympics to go along with the majors she's already won this season. Fionnuala McCormack, good run from her in the marathon this morning, 25th place, just 7 months after she gave birth to her second child. Unfortunately for Aoife Cook, she had to withdraw midway through the race. There was Irish success in terms of the top 10. Sinead Diver from Mayo, 44 years of age, at her first Olympics, representing her adopted country of Australia, claiming a top 10 finish there. Also announced this morning that we will have a flag bearer in the shape of Natalia Coyle, the Modern pentathlete, who really was let down by her horse Constantine yesterday. She was in a really good position going into the show jumping, but unfortunately for Natalia Coyle, who was a top 10 finisher both in Rio and in London, the show jumping ended any chances she had of a medal. She was in 3rd and 4th position after the first 2 events of the competition. All focus for us tomorrow really is on Kellie Harrington, who has the opportunity to become Ireland's 3rd ever gold medalist in boxing, potentially following in the footsteps of Michael Carruth in 92 and Katie Taylor, who won lightweight, the same division as Kellie Harrington this year, back in 2012. Delighted to say to look forward to her gold medal fight. We're joined by 2-time European medalist Grainne Walsh. Grainne, how are you getting on?
Well, how are you keeping?
Well, I'm excited about tomorrow. I'm excited about the fact that Kellie Harrington gets through the ropes at 6 a.m. and it's not a 2 o'clock start this time round for her gold medal bout against Beatrice Ferreira. But Kellie Harrington, for me, Grainne, has looked pretty assured on her run to the final. Went into this as number 1 seed on the back of boxing really well at the European qualifiers a couple of months ago. And, you know, with the exception of probably the second round against C. Sundee during the week, Harrington has been very comfortable in her run to the final.
Yeah, as we can all see, she's absolutely oozing in confidence, and she's the number 1 seed for a reason. She's got a good draw, and as she said in her own interviews, that there is no really top seed in the whole thing. As you see there against C. Sundee, it's top, absolutely to the wire for every single bit. So, I'm looking forward to tomorrow myself, being an early start, but I'm sure the rest of Ireland will be up as well just to support her, and hopefully she can go all the way. I'm just really looking forward to it.
Yeah, because when it came to the lightweight division, you looked at that last 4. You had Pokinen, who has previously beaten Katie Taylor at amateur level. You've got Ferreira, who's gone through to the final on the other side. And then you had C. Sundee, who was in a world final previously against Kellie Harrington. As far as any weight class goes at the Olympics, that's as stacked as it gets, isn't it?
It is, and I have to say it is credit to Katie Taylor as well, because she's really opened the door for the likes of myself and Kelly and all the others coming through. So the competition is just absolutely fierce at these games, and it's great. It's a great representation for women's boxing as well, and especially for Ireland to have a female in the Olympic final again after Katie in 2012. So it shows that we're going in the right direction, and hopefully we can follow on in the years to come as well.
Yeah, it's very rare that we get boxers into finals. Only the 8th time ever that we've had an Irish boxer in an Olympic final, potentially, as I mentioned at the outset, going for a 3rd gold medal. Kellie Harrington's been speaking all week as well, Grainne, about the fact that she's not really feeling, the pressure about what colour of medal she brings back. She's mentioned, look, yeah, I'm going to go back and work in the hospital when I come back from the Olympics. I'm just going here to try and box as well as I possibly can. It seems the weight of expectation that maybe we've had as a country, and maybe the expectation you guys on the Irish team would have on Kellie Harrington going to these Olympics, it doesn't seem to affect her, the hype going into it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because Kellie's been obviously at the top of her game for the last 5 years. She's been bringing, for numerous years, but she's been consecutively bringing home major medals from all tournaments in the last 5 years. kind of since Katie moved on as well, and some say that she's been living in Katie's shadow. It's hard to tell. She was at a different weight category, but it suits her now. 60 kg is her preferred weight class, and it shows. She's bringing home the bacon every time she goes away. But she is under immense pressure. There's no way of shaking that, and I'm sure the Olympic Village is a lonely place for her at the minute. And I've been obviously like a roommate of Kellie at many tournaments, but you know, the pressure is massive for her, like, but she is absolutely cruising through it, and she's handling it like a champ that she is. So it's just, I hope that she can pull through now tomorrow. She looks absolutely oozing in confidence, as I said. So I just hope now she can go one better, and then she can enjoy some nice grub when she gets home. I'm sure she's sick of making weight as well. She's
saying that Hakuna Matata is pretty much her philosophy from The Lion King going throughout this tournament as well. Look, you were there alongside her at the Europeans a couple of years ago before the pandemic kicked in. What's Kellie Harrington like around tournament week when she goes to a major then?
Well, it's hard to tell really, like, you know, the pressure does get to everyone, and obviously like you're groggy when you're making weight and stuff, and you know, just the anxiousness of waiting around. I think the weight is what kills her more than anything. It kills all of us really, but especially as she was the last boxer to get through the ropes at the games, had a camp for 3 weeks before, like she's been away for a long time, so, and then she's right up to the final day of the Olympics. So I think that weight is probably what's going to kill her more than anything else. But look, she's a seasoned athlete. She's handling it the way she has for the last couple of years. And, you know, everyone is just really has their fingers and toes crossed for tomorrow. But I'd be extremely confident that she can do the job tomorrow.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Rhys McLennan, who was out on the opening weekend and then had to wait a whole week to compete.
Yeah.
Like similarly, you know, Brendan Irvine and Kellie are carrying the flag right at the very start of the games, you know, Thursday a couple of weeks ago. Then she had quite a wait because of the fact that she had a bye into the second round. So she had a while to wait until she got into the ring against Nickley on the Friday, which followed after that. Like, I would imagine when you're in an Olympic Village, and this time around especially when there's probably a little bit less mixing than before, there's a lot more kind of confinement to your hotel room, it'd be tricky enough to try and punch in those 5 or 6 days before you actually go to compete.
100%. And as I can say for Kellie, she doesn't really like to mix too much before competition. And, you know, each person is different. For me, I like to keep things as normal as I can, or else I work myself up into thinking like, oh my God, this is a big deal. And then I start to get more nervous. I try to keep it as calm as I can. But for Kellie, she likes to just be on her own, play her rebel songs and, you know, just chill out. And it works for her. You know, everyone is just so different when it comes to elite sport. But look, it's been working for her so far, and we just have one more sleep now. Well, not even a full sleep.
Well, Michael Cruth was saying to us on Thursday after the semi-final bout that he said one of the most difficult things that the boxers will ever have when they go away to majors is being tempted to not look at your laptop or not to look at your phone, because understandably there's so much hype around Kellie Harrington now that she's upgraded from a bronze to at least a silver to a gold. You could get entirely lost reading comments and reading messages if you wanted to.
It's happened to me before, I'm not going to lie. And I feel like, you know, she's experienced enough now to know that not to get caught up in all that. But I don't think she's ever had the exposure and the media attention as she has now. Like, she's had plenty of it, but I think this is obviously just such a rare thing and such a big deal. But look, she knows how to handle it herself. And, you know, social media can really take away your thoughts from what you're meant to be at now. And as you said, there's so much free time. It is hard not to get sucked into that. So, you know, Kellie will have a different ways of coping with, you know, having so much time and trying to keep her thoughts in the here and now and not wondering what could be or whatever. So, you know, all will tell tomorrow. But look, she's done this a million times, and as she said, she's not thinking about medal colours. She's just taking it one fight at a time, one round at a time. That's all you can do. If you look too far ahead, that's when you start to trip up.
And I wonder when it comes to her expectation, if it helps a little bit too, that, you know, over this last Olympic cycle, which has now become a 5-year cycle where Katie Taylor steps away, Kellie Harrington moves from 64 kg to 60 kg, effectively puts herself in line to be the next Katie Taylor in a very literal sense, has to kind of work through all the different championships, world champion in 2018, performs well in 2019, gets a bit of an injury, the layoff then at everything that happened with COVID, having to overcome that, come through the qualifiers and now go to Tokyo. I wonder the fact that she's 31 years of age now and that she has all this experience behind her, whether that helps when you're in these final stages and the last 24 hours or so before a fight.
Yeah, like I said, she's done this numerous times, and, you know, having Katie there and seeing that Katie's done it and all, but again, at the same time, everyone is on their own individual journey, and like, she's not thinking about, you know, she's the next Katie Taylor. Like, I know that people in the general public would think, oh, she's the next Katie Taylor and this and that, which in a sense she is. If she's in the Olympic final, she's the next female to do it. So, you can't really argue with it. But, Kellie's very much tunnel vision on her own journey, and she's just focusing on what she can do and the controllables. Because if you start to think about, what someone else has done or comparing yourself, I remember Rachel Mulligan, our manager in the Institute, she told me before, comparison is the thief of joy, and I live by that now. And obviously human nature is to compare, but in a sport like this, you have to have complete tunnel vision, and Kellie has that. So you see even her ring walk, she's not thinking about one other thing. She is completely focused on the task at hand. 9 minutes and she'll be Olympic champion, hopefully.
Just to take us back to the semi-final during the week, because the fight against Nicola and the fight against Khalif in the first two, Kellie won pretty comfortably in both, but she got a right good test from C. Sundee, again, like a world-class operator that she was taking on in the early hours of Thursday morning. And here's my read of the fight, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. First round, I thought Kellie deserved to be ahead. A couple of judges had her ahead at that point. I thought she was very busy in that first round, as you have to be in this 3-round format. Second round, maybe C. Sundee just about took it, but a really close round, which meant that Kellie Harrington knew she was probably ahead, but knew that she had to put in a big performance in the championship round to finish it out. She boxed off the back foot, but boxed so well in that third round. I thought that was a real kind of championship performance. C. Sundee came at her, and Kellie was so good at just avoiding shots and then getting that left hook and left jab away to score some vital points to win.
Well, that's a very accurate reading of the fight, I have to say. People see it in different ways, and then even, my coach Dima, he's over at the Olympics as well. He says that it's very different sitting ringside compared to what you see on camera. So, but yeah, that's exactly what I seen from that. I think she deservedly went ahead. Second round, lay off a little bit, and then, as she did as a champion, she pulls through, does what she needs to do to get the win in the last round. Close fight, definitely a close fight, and she's a top operator, that Thai girl. And it was a 3-2 decision at the Worlds in 2018, and it was a 3-2 decision the other day. So it just shows the competitiveness when you get to podium positions at the Olympics. There is no easy route, and the best are against the best, and if you come out on top, it speaks volumes. And Kellie was the number one seed going into this competition, and rightly so. But I even seen the Thai girl against Caroline Dubois from GB in the previous fight, and very tough fight again. So, for Kellie, that was her first real tough test of the games, whereas C. Sundee had come through a couple of tough fights. She had, a tougher route to get there. But look, Kellie just pulled through and did what she needed to do, and deservedly is through to the final.
You mentioned your coach, Dima Dimitruk there, who's been in the background coaching away with quite a few of the fighters throughout the competition. I've seen him in the, on the edge of the ring for the likes of Aidan Walsh, who goes on to win a medal. You must be very proud of your coach out of the Spartacus Club in Tullamore, having such a heavy involvement with the Irish team at these Olympics, which has been, very successful with 2 medals coming back.
Yeah, sure. Look, when we see Kellie in the ring and we see John and Zara at the side, that's only touching the surface of the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes. And, Dima's coaching alongside there. There's Owen and Damien, the coaches back in the Institute that didn't go out to the games. But there's just so much, even physios and everything, there's just so much that goes on behind the scenes. But yeah, I am immensely proud of Dima. Obviously, now it hurts that I'm not there. 2 Spartacus boxers, or a Spartacus boxer and coach, to be there would have been unbelievable. But look, it's my success, his success is my success. And the same with Kellie and all the teammates. All the teammates, when they're knocked out, they're now supporting Kellie to go all the way. But yeah, there is just so much work that goes on behind the scenes that no one really sees. You see Kellie in the ring and you see the 2 on the side, but that's only touching the surface of the amount of work that's put in behind the scenes.
Did you find the Olympics difficult to watch? Because it was such a dream of yours for 4 or 5 years going through this cycle too. And particularly when you came back with welterweight bronze from the Europeans, your hope was really high at that point that you were going to qualify for 2020. Couple of injuries, having to get the thumb reset a couple of times, and then COVID made an absolute mess of the qualifiers ahead of Tokyo as well. Did you find it difficult when you were so kind of laser focused on wanting to go to the games to actually watch them over the last few weeks?
It's been extremely difficult. The last couple of months since the qualifiers, really, and just since word got out that the second qualifier wasn't going ahead, and then everyone was preparing, and I was in a cast again after having another hand operation. So the whole thing has just been up down. But yeah, it's become easier now. But I'm not going to lie, the whole experience has been very, very tough for me to watch because of the fact that the rug was really ripped from beneath my feet. I never got the opportunity to go. So that was the hardest thing for me to deal with, is that, control the controllables, and that was completely out of my control. But it did take me a good bit of time to get over the fact that I wasn't going to be there. But, it's lit a fire in my stomach more than ever for the next games. And it is a short window now to the next game. So I just have to put everything in, absolutely everything, and make sure that I get there.
Yeah, it is very tricky. We were talking about this on the pay-per-view last Sunday here in the show, that Cathal Denny had a piece about the fact that, for every Olympian that we celebrate over this while, there's probably 10 to 12 more who are trying to qualify in their place, or who will come home unhappy at the end of this. So everyone will remember Grainne Walsh and Kellie Harrington coming back with 2 medals and fantastic times. But we forget is that there's so many boxers within the programme who are trying to do exactly what they're doing right now.
Exactly, and even to get the opportunity to qualify is just to qualify, to call yourself an Olympian forevermore. No one can ever take that away from you, and that's something that I feel I'll never be fully satisfied with my career or with my life if I never, give it my all. Now, if I give it my all and I fail, that's on me. I can kind of accept that more, but to get that opportunity, and it's great for the ones that got the opportunity. It is unfortunate for the likes of myself and everyone else who was hoping to go to the World Qualifier that was just cancelled because of COVID. So, but obviously the uncertainty of the pandemic and everything, there is no way of everything. Everyone is learning about this every single day. So, but luckily enough, I'm young enough to go on for another Olympic cycle, maybe another one after that. We'll see how the body holds up, if this thumb can stay together.
Well, look, only 3 years to go to Paris, so the qualifiers will be coming around for that in no time. It'll be the bat of an eyelash, and they will be coming around for that. Yeah. When it comes to the final itself, there's not really a whole lot of hype needed here, Grainne, when you consider this is the 2018 World Champion against the 2019 World Champion. Kellie Harrington wasn't able to go to 2019. 2020, we didn't have a Games. So we've got the 2 best in the world over the last 3 years going toe-to-toe and touching leather for the very first time against each other. Like for the Olympics, even just in terms of being able to hype up a final for tomorrow, that is the perfect final. It
is the perfect final, and it's the final that I kind of hoped to see when I saw the draw and everything. I was like, they're going to be in the final, because I saw the routes, saw that, Ferreira had a little bit more challenge in her draw. But look, she pulled through, and there's no denying her accolades either. She's achieved massive things in the last. She's relatively new on the scene, newer than the likes of Kelly and that, but she means business. And you can even see from her last fight, she, in control. I felt like she just made Mira Pokkanen look novice-y in a way, I think. And it's going to be an absolutely crucial fight now at the first round, especially because of the fact that they've never met. So there's so much hype about the 2 of them. But until they touch gloves, they won't know really. It'd be a real chess match, I think, in the first round. But I think, every fight presents different challenges. I think Kelly is going to need to use her speed. She's going to need to be razor sharp for this fight, because, this girl Ferreira has a very much a pro style. She'll walk her down and try and walk her onto shots. But as we know, Kelly likes to move. She's very universal, so it's very hard. I actually pity Ferreira's corner trying to come up with a plan against Kelly, because Kelly can be one and then in the next round be completely flipped into a different boxer. And that just shows the skill level she has and the IQ in the ring. So I'm extremely excited for it. And yeah, there is no hype needed for this fight. It'll be very interesting to see who pulls through. But I think Kelly can definitely pull through. She just uses her speed, gets in, gets out. And that'll do it, I think.
Yeah, because I was very impressed by Ferreira against Pokkanen, because there was part of me thinking this is going to be the story now, where it's Pokkanen, who has given Irish boxers so much trouble, whether it's Kelly or whether it's Katie in the past, going up against Kellie Harrington in an Olympic final. Ferreira had not read that script though, and I thought she was really aggressive over the 3 rounds. Pokkanen was saying she might even retire after taking that defeat on Thursday morning. It's not easy to go up against a top class operator and someone with as much experience at Olympic Games as Pokkanen, and to effectively take her apart in that second semi-final.
Yeah, and you can see the amount of, as you said, Irish boxers have been up against Pokkanen for years, so. And I think she's going to be forced into retirement, because she's 41. She's 41 this year, and that's the cut-off age really for elite boxing. So, she did well to get this Olympics, and she's going home with a bronze medal. I'm sure she's absolutely delighted. She would like to go one better than Rio, but she's served boxing absolutely brilliant in the last couple of years. But Ferreira did just take her apart. There's no denying it. Like, her IQ was just a lot better. Her ring craft, she knew exactly how to slow Mira down. She's just a very aggressive fighter, obviously, the Finn. So she had a game plan. She stuck to it. It's going to be a completely different fight against Kellie. Every fight is so different. But Kellie's going to obviously try and take away Ferreira's best assets and vice versa. So it'll be a complete chess match, I think. But yeah, one that I'm very, very excited for.
Now, the bookmakers have decided that Ferreira is now the narrow favourite going into the fight. Will that suit Kellie Harrington, or will she pay any attention whatsoever to the fact that she's now seen as a slight underdog going into tomorrow morning?
I don't think Kellie's going to see underdog, whatever. I don't think she's going to pay any heed to that at all. Like, when we're away at competition, we don't see or hear any of that stuff unless we're physically told. And Kellie be keeping her circle very small. She won't be talking to many people from home, keeping her focus for tomorrow. She's only one more day to focus now until she can do whatever she wants after that. So for her, she's never the underdog. In the last couple of years, she's never been the underdog, and it suited her. But likewise, she had to work herself up to be the number one and the favourite. So, she's tasted the ends of both. So she's just going to get in and focus on the job at hand. She's not going to worry about any of the outside things or people that things are saying. That's kind of irrelevant when you get into the ring. It's 1 fight, 3 rounds, that's it.
I was listening to her dad and also to our brother Christopher during the week, talking about how proud they were and how proud the area has been, that they were all up in the street at 6 o'clock in the morning watching the fight the other morning, and the street basically exploded once it said in the red corner the winner is Kellie Harrington. Like, it's amazing the effect that an athlete going to the Olympics and doing well can be in terms of being an inspiration. And like, you can probably speak to this quite a bit. Like, I remember you were a League of Ireland footballer. Katie Taylor goes to your gym, I think at Dima's request, to open it up. And then through meeting Katie Taylor, you're inspired to very much focus on boxing after that. It's incredible what an effect watching people on TV at these games can possibly have on the Olympians of 20 years' time.
It's unbelievable. Like, and I only started boxing in 2012 because of Katie Taylor. I just I was a big fan of hers, and I just kind of felt I'd get more out of boxing if I put the head down than I would in soccer. You have 10 other people on the pitch that you can kind of point fingers at. That's what I love about the individuality of boxing. Now, it's very much a team sport as well, because you're Team Ireland and you're all very close-knit, but when you get into the ring, you're on your own. But that's the kind of responsibility that, certain athletes like. Doesn't suit everyone. But yeah, as we can see, I saw the bits on telly as well about Portland Row, and just the excitement. It's not only there, but it's for the whole country. It's such a lift, and especially after the pandemic, there hasn't been a whole lot to scream and shout about. And, I'm just so glad that the games went ahead, because, they could have easily just pulled the plug on the whole thing. But this is the boost that the country needed. And I'm actually so proud of Kellie. Like, I'm so proud of them all, to be honest. Like, it's been very emotional watching all the interviews and stuff. I think each of them have just come across so well. And, it just goes to show all the hard work and the humble people that all these athletes are, just all striving to be the best. And you can do nothing but respect each and every one of them.
And so many small margins along the way too. Like, Kurt Walker, so impressive, knocks out the number 1 seed and the reigning world champion, and then comes off on a difficult split decision defeat against his American opponent then, when he was just away from getting a medal. You look at Grainne Walsh, he falls after he does his Michael Carruth jump and rolls his ankle, misses out in the chance where potentially he could have won a gold or a silver medal. And hopefully we're not talking about a disappointment for Kellie Harrington. It's a gold and a bronze coming back. But that Irish team have done really well, and I would imagine that's quite important, Grainne, as a team for you guys to have done so after the great disappointment that was 2016, when we went over with so many medal chances and didn't come back with one. To actually be coming back with hopefully a gold and a bronze must be a huge lift for boxing here in the country as well.
It really is, and especially because you've seen so many greats walk away from the amateur game after the 2016 Olympics. Like, all the things that happened over there. I have to say the judging has been a lot better in Tokyo, thank God. I think they had no choice but to tighten the reins on that. But it kind of is the nature of it. After every Olympic cycle, there's a new generation coming in, and our team is relatively a new enough team. So to qualify 7 was a fantastic achievement, and then to get 2 medals guaranteed, it's great, and it's such a lift for Irish boxing. Obviously, boxing is Ireland's most successful Olympic sport to date, but it just goes to show, like, from the grassroots, right from like when you start in the club when you're 5 and 6 years of age, the whole way up. There's just such a commitment, and as I said before, such a massive crowd of people that have helped to get them to that level. And then they come into high performance, and everything is, all the things are tightened up there, and the techniques and everything are developed even more. But yeah, it's absolutely a great reflection on the hard work that's been done, and you can see from each and every one of them all the hard work that goes in. Any Olympic athlete, any elite sports person, just years and years of sacrifice. But the sacrifice is the good part. It's a part that we enjoy. Well, I can speak for myself anyway, because not many people would do it if they didn't enjoy it. So that's all I can say on that. But
and touch wood, Grainne, we'll get to a point soon where gyms will be able to open indoors at club level again, because our elite athletes have been able to train away, thankfully, ahead of championships like the qualifiers and the Olympics itself. But important for the lifeblood of the sport, and if people are going to be inspired by watching these games, the clubs will be able to get back doing what they were normally doing before the pandemic soon. Yeah,
the pandemic has shook everyone to the core, but everyone needs to get back in and get the contact going. I have to speak for myself as well, obviously coming from injury and stuff. I've sparred once this year and 4 times last year, and I cannot wait. I'm back to Dublin now next Tuesday, and I can't wait to just get in and trade gloves with someone. I never wanted to get punched in the face so bad. It's a weird thing to say, but no, it's been a long old time, and it's the same for all the kids and stuff. Everyone's just dying to get back in. The normality is starting to creep back in now, thank God. So fingers crossed we can keep going up and up from here, and we'll have more champions to come in the future. Well,
your 2024 Olympic journey starts here. Give me a prediction. Is Harrington going to turn silver into gold tomorrow?
Well, I have to be biased and say that, but genuinely on paper, even though she's an underdog in the bookies, I 100% think she has the experience, the universal, style, the IQ. I think she's going to walk this girl into traps, and if she's on the ball, there's no way she's coming home with anything less than gold, and I can't wait to see her. I can't wait for her to get home and go out for some grub and find out how the whole experience was for her. But yeah, I'm rooting for Kellie all the way, as well as the rest of Ireland.
Grainne, thanks a million for joining us. EU medalist from 2017 and European medalist at welterweight in 2019. You're watching the Olympic show on Off the Ball with thanks to Indeed. When we come back, we'll be talking to boxing writer Kevin Byrne.
Debt and financial struggles aren't something we usually like to talk about, but there's often a manageable solution. So this weekend on News Talk, we've teamed up with the ISI for some practical advice and tips. There are many ways of slipping into problem debt. The most common triggers are job loss, illness or inability to work, failure of a business, and separation or divorce. It's important to remember that it is possible to get back on track, and that the ISI can help you find a suitable solution. Find out more at newstalk.com/tips.
Do you have a TV licence? Inspectors are calling to unlicensed homes and businesses. If you don't, that can mean prosecution and a fine of up to €1,000. It's the law, so get yours at tvlicence.ie or at any post office. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
How far could you cycle over 10 days? Well, take part in the All-Ireland Cycle Challenge and find out. Get on your bike in aid of cancer research between August the 12th and 22nd. Upload your cycles, win competitions and help raise funds for breast cancer research. Pedal your county or your cycling club to All Ireland glory. Registered now at allirelandcycle.ie. Proudly supported by Zurich.
Afternoons are easy with insuremyvan.ie, Ireland's low-cost van insurance specialist. Get your business back on the road with Insure My Van's best price guarantee. For super savings, visit insuremyvan.ie. City Financial Marketing Group Limited, trading as insuremyvan.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Sean, what's that thing going round the garden?
That is our new Husqvarna Automower.
Automower?
Yeah, it's a robotic lawnmower from Husqvarna. Cuts the grass automatically, has GPS tracking and an app. Even works in the rain. I just thought, why spend time cutting grass when I could spend it with the family?
Great! You can put the dinner on, so...
No can do, love. Have to paint the man cave.
Husqvarna Automower. Never mow again. Learn more at husqvarna.ie.
Refresh for success with a Springboard Plus 3-year part-funded certificate in business and pensions, insurance and investment at Griffith College. Launch your career in the financial services sector with an MCC-approved qualification. Visit griffith.ie. Springboard Plus is co-funded by the Government of Ireland and the European Social Fund as part of the ESF Programme for Employability, Inclusion and Learning 2014 to 2020.
Professor Walter McNicholas from the Sleep Disorders Unit at St Vincent's University Hospital here. Did you know 1 in 5 fatal crashes on Irish roads could be linked to driver fatigue? If you feel tired behind the wheel, pull in somewhere it's safe to do so and drink a coffee or caffeinated drink before taking a 15-minute nap. The short nap will allow time for the caffeine to take effect before you continue your journey. This should give you another hour or so on the road. Remember, stop, sip, sleep. From the Road Safety Authority.
At Tesco, we know how important value is to you. That's why we've created our best value red bubbles. Wherever you see a red bubble in store, you'll find a best value product beside it. So, if you're looking for a shortcut to value, follow the red bubbles. We put them there with you in mind. Tesco, every little helps.
As Ireland continues getting back to business, Bank of Ireland is here for you. Whether it's growing your business, managing your cash flow, or preparing for tomorrow's challenges, we've got the finance to help your business do business. Farm loans, business loans, overdrafts, and more. Search Bank of Ireland Business. Bank of Ireland. We can, we will, begin. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Over 18s only. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
What's the difference between those who go far and those who go all the way? Or between training at home and representing your homeland with the world's eyes upon you? The difference is care. It's what makes the strong unstoppable. That's why Team Ireland trusts Let's Get Checked as they compete in Tokyo, supporting them with health testing and telehealth services. Caring for the pride of Ireland as they make Ireland proud. Let's Get Checked. Proud partner of Team Ireland.
Going boating or angling this summer? Better check the weather in advance. Better that you don't go alone. Better to know local currents and tides. Better to always wear a life jacket on or near water. This is Water Safety Ireland. Better safe than sorry. For advice, visit watersafety.ie. Supported by the Government of Ireland.
The Green Tag event ends today at Flanagan Cairns. There are discounts in all areas and free recycling on your replaced bed or mattress. We've missed you during the lockdown. Thanks again for supporting Irish makers, Irish family businesses, and for shopping local. Flanagan Cairns, Southern Cross Bray, exit 7 off the N11. Flanagan Cairns, furniture for life.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
You're very welcome back to the Olympic show here on Off the Ball with thanks to Indeed, proud sponsors of Team Ireland at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Indeed believes the world works better when people are given every opportunity to unleash their talents. Check out the hashtag #TalentUnleashed throughout the Olympic Games. We're on the penultimate day. We're looking forward to potentially an Irish medal being upgraded to gold early tomorrow morning. Kellie Harrington will be through the ropes at around 6 a.m. Irish time when she takes on Beatrice Ferreira. It is the 2018 World Champion against the 2019 World Champion in the lightweight women's boxing final. To continue our look forward to Kellie Harrington's big bout, we're joined by Kevin Byrne from the Irish Sun. Kevin, good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, Will. How are you doing?
I was saying to Grainne Walsh a bit earlier, it's not like this needs any great hype. When you put the last two World Champions in, COVID-19 stole away the 2020 World Championships. So something has to give when the last two World Champions meet in the ring for the very first time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the two best lightweights in the world, as has been shown by their performances so far as well in Tokyo. I mean, there can be no denying that Harrington is one of the best two lightweights in the world, as is Ferreira. So definitely something has to give in this fight, no doubt.
Ferreira is known as the Beast, and she put in a really impressive performance against Pokinen in the semi-final after Kellie Harrington on Thursday morning. I watched it back. Like, she was busy throughout. She's got a lot of power in her punches. And Pokinen, who's a serious operator, we've watched her beat Kellie Harrington, we've watched her beat Katie Taylor. She was very much second best against Ferreira on Thursday morning.
Yeah, she's really good. She throws a lot of shots, and they're hard. And she connects, and she's a good boxer. So she's not just one of these kind of walk forward, throw kind of, brute force and ignorance. There's a lot of thought gone into her shots and how she lands them and how she discombobulates her opponents. She's a smart fighter. But she's not as smart a fighter as Kellie Harrington. So there are routes to win. Kellie Harrington has to keep this one way back. Like, do not get involved in any kind of war at all. Go out, make her miss a few times, win the first round, and then take it from there. I had a good chat there with Eddie Bulger before coming on air, the Germany coach. He's home already after, they didn't get a medal at the games. They didn't get far enough into the games, but he's been in camp with Ferreira, and he put in a boxer against her and had good success. A southpaw boxer, all on the back foot, and he could be Kellie's secret weapon here because they're in touch. He was Kellie's, go-to guy in the Irish high performance for a few years. So maybe there's a couple of little traps that they can make as well. Kelly has a lot of input from a lot of good coaches, but Ferreira's a beast, but she's not an unbeatable one. She's had a really hard fight against Pocken, and perhaps that might have taken something out of her as well. We're probably looking at other angles for Kellie Harrington to win. Maybe a bit optimistic, a bit hopeful, but it's there for her.
Yeah, well, when it came to Kellie Harrington's performance against C. Sundee, in the third round particularly, where her Thai opponent is coming out in the front foot and trying to force it a little bit with some of the punches that she was swinging, Kellie Harrington was clever enough to be very patient and actually sit back in the back foot, make her miss a few times, and then she uses that left jab and that hook over the top with the left arm as well, which scored quite a few points for her when the fight was in the balance in the third.
Yeah, and like if you watch it, like a couple of her best shots came at the end of the second round. A round she just lost, but you could see the last 30 or 40 seconds of the round. She was excellent. She caught Sue Sundee with a couple of check hooks off the left, and then carried that momentum right into the third round, which won her the fight. So she's in great form. She was comfortable in close enough just to avoid the shot. So she's really finding her range. She had 2 fights to get going, to get her kind of get the cobwebs off, get ready to go, and now she seems to be. It's now or never, because she's in 100% peak form, I think, at this stage.
Yeah, because as far as tune-ups go, like that fight on Thursday morning was pretty much perfect. She, for my money at least, boxed really well in the first round. I was surprised that 2 of the judges had gone against her after the first. Second, C&D probably just about edges it, and then Harrington, when it was required, was able to get the win in that third round. I thought like it was a very mature performance, it was a very clever performance, and when the fight was in the balance, Harrington had that extra gear to go on and win.
That's the great bit, isn't it? We've seen other times when, other Olympians in finals and stuff, and it's time for a personal best there. You really need to qualify from the semi-finals to the finals. You need a personal best. Well, that's what Kelly's kind of putting in at this stage of the game. So, hopefully she can continue it against Ferreira. But like we know, it's not going to be too easy, and it's all there for her.
Yeah, Michael Carruth was saying to us during the week, 29 years to the day since his welterweight gold when the fight comes around tomorrow morning compared to Barcelona. And he was saying that like when it came to the way that Harrington boxed, it wasn't the perfect performance, but he says at this time in competitions, sometimes it's just about a winning performance. You don't have to go out there and blow your opponent away and win unanimously. The most important thing is just getting your hand raised at the end of the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Michael Carruth would know all about it. Like he put in probably a career best, one of the greatest performances from an Irish boxer you'll ever see when he won the gold medal against Cuba in '92. I was chatting to Kenneth Egan as well, and he's like so excited for Kellie Harrington. She's going to be waking up soon to go into an Olympic final. But both of them have the same worry that Kelly's hands are just too low. She's going in against this big punching mauler, and both of them seem to be worried about the same thing. They just want her to keep her hands up a little bit more, be a bit more coy about it, protect herself, because, if you start taking shots from this Brazilian one, you could lose the first round and then, the fight could go downhill. But I think that the fight that I'm thinking of, Will, I know you're a big fan of John Joe Nevin as well, like being from the Midlands, and do you remember his fight in London in 2012 against the Mexican, Oscar Valdez? He's now like one of the top professionals in the world. Well, like, that was against a come-forward fighter who could hit harder, who could knock you down with one punch, and he did knock down John Joe Nevin. But Nevin managed to just use his brain, use his boxing skills, nick the rounds, win the fight, move on. I think that got him a medal and he went on to the final. But this is what Kellie Harrington has to do this time. She has to be punch perfect. And if she wins it, it will be a performance up there with Carruth, 92, some of Egan's in 08, John Joe Nevin. It's going to be right up there.
Yeah, because what's rare is beautiful, really. And this is only an 8th final we've had, since boxing started back in the 50s in the Olympics. And this isn't to put any kind of pressure onto Kellie Harrington, but if she turns this into gold tomorrow, she joins a most exclusive club with Katie Taylor, having followed up, 9 years on as it works out, her London gold in the same weight division, and Carruth 29 years ago. It will be an amazing achievement if Kellie Harrington wins gold tomorrow.
Yeah, and it absolutely completes her collection in amateur boxing as well. She's won the European tournament, she'll have won the Olympic tournament, and she's already won a world tournament as well. She's completed the set, and not just even the set of medals, the set of goals. There's nothing else for her to do in sport. She's completed boxing effectively. If she wins this final, she's pretty much already done so by getting to the final. But just one small step now to go on and put herself into immortality.
I think she's been genuine as well when she talks about kind of how calm she is coming out of these performances. She's using, Hakuna Matata as her effective philosophy coming out of these. Like, even I was listening to her dad and her brother getting interviewed on the news the other morning, and they were saying, look, we've been talking to her a little bit. She's trying to avoid too much contact with the phone, but she seems very relaxed. She's happy going into Sunday. It doesn't seem like Kellie Harrington, and maybe the fact that she's 31 years of age reaching this point helps compared to being someone at the start of their career. But she doesn't seem to be overly worried about the nerves and expectations going into an Olympic final tomorrow.
No, I suppose it's just all that experience, isn't it? Like, she's become a bit of an overnight success since maybe 2016 when she got to her first World Championships final. She got silver then, 2 years later, a gold, and since then she's kind of really built her name into one of the most recognisable sports names in Ireland. But in reality, I think Kellie was on the first Irish female senior international contest of bouts, which was in Dungarvan in 2007 against England. And Katie Taylor fought on that, and Christina McMahon and Alana Murphy. Some boxers are since retired. But so she boxed on that, I think, as a 17-year-old senior bout, beat a girl called Michelle Smith. It's funny enough at this stage of the Olympics. But she's around a long, long time. She picked up a lot of experience. She's gone to tournaments and, not made a dent. And now she's gone to them and got to the later stages. So I would imagine inside she'd have to be nervous. Like, she's a sensitive person, takes stuff on board. But I think she's a bit of a beast in a tournament, obviously, because she does tend to get better in them. She puts on her best performances against her best opponents. So inside there's obviously something pretty calm and relaxed about getting to these stages. Yeah, she does it, to be honest.
She stepped up a gear. Like, I remember we were talking last Sunday and we were saying, look, that Nicolay fight, there wasn't a huge amount of trouble for her, went through unanimous decision, was really good against Khalif on Tuesday to qualify for the semi-final. The medal was in the bag at that point, having boxed really well in the first two. C. Sundee was a step up. So therefore, you would imagine, having come through that quite difficult fight, she's got to be hitting kind of peak form within this tournament too. And you got to remember, back in June, she was so impressive in the European qualifiers too.
Yeah, and like one of the fights there gives her a bit of a blueprint as well, because she beat the returning IBF World Super Featherweight champion Maïva Hamadouche from France. Like, Hamadouche for the last 3 or 4 years has been talked about as a danger to Katie Taylor in the professional ranks. When they have a fight, it's set to be an absolute war, and it's going to be, the elegance of Taylor kind of versus the aggression and meanness of Hamadouche. And Kellie Harrington went in there in the 3 rounds. And she beat her quite well. Like, she beat Caroline Dubois, and it kind of shows the strength in depth of the lightweight division, which probably wasn't there so much in 2012, but it's really grown now. There's a lot of boxers there who will not end up on the podium. Like, that Caroline Dubois is a sensational boxer from England. I think she'll be in the running for gold in 2024, no doubt about it. And that's where Kellie stands in it. She's in the top 2 now against Ferreira. But definitely, she is starting to show her best form, and she seems to be getting better in the tournaments. There's only a couple of them at this stage she hasn't beaten. I suppose Potkinen, she's gone. So now it's Ferreira, obviously champion against champion. It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, and probably end of the road for Potkinen, it would seem, as well. Grainne was guessing when she's now gone over 40 years of age, this was meant to be the crowning championship for Potkinen if she was to win gold in Tokyo. It's fairly unlikely that we're going to see her back around as an absolute tormentor of Irish boxers over the years. It's unlikely the Finn is going to be back around for Paris in 3 years' time.
Probably not, and I suppose everybody can breathe a sigh of relief, because she's been on a one-woman campaign against Irish boxing for a few years now, since she beat her. I think her first win over Kelly was in 2013. She beat Katie Taylor in 2016. She's also a win over Amy Broadhurst as well. So, but yeah, she's had a great career. But at 40, it's unlikely to see her being a force in 3 years' time. I think that game's a set up for whether or not Kelly stays amateur. But you're looking at maybe Amy Broadhurst in the Irish jersey if all works out in the way she's looking at it. Caroline Dubois. It's a kind of new era of better and better fighters, really.
It's mildly off the beaten track, but is the Olympics enhanced, or is the boxing division hurt by professional boxers coming back in to qualify to box at these games?
It's a good question. There's a lot of people who would still think they shouldn't have anything to do with it. I'd say one person who's glad that the professional boxers have come back into it is Billy Walsh, because he'd lost a couple of fighters to the professional ranks, with COVID and stuff, they said, and I think a couple of them lost a couple of fights in America to qualify themselves from the team. So, but when they went professional, they were gone. But then, because of the old kind of way the rankings were, they qualified automatically for the Olympics. So now Billy Walsh is looking at potential gold medal from Keyshawn Davis in the lightweight final. And but But then his super heavyweight, Torres, is going in against, I think, Jalalov, the Uzbekistan professional as well, who knocked him unconscious 2 years ago. So that's a professional who's really shown that it can be dangerous. But by and large, the professionals have kind of struggled going back to the old format. They train differently. You box differently in the professionals. And to go back to the Olympics, the 3x3 minute rounds, more of a sprint. Most of them have struggled, but there are the exceptions. I think like Keyshawn Davis, we're going to be hearing him in a couple of years down the road. A big name like an Errol Spence or Terence Crawford. He's a tremendous talent, and but he's got it all up against him. Billy Walsh will be desperate for that gold medal, but he's fighting. I think when I was talking to Eddie earlier on, he said that he thinks Andy Cruz, the Cuban, is the best boxer pound for pound of any in the world, and that's who Keyshawn Davis is up against. So, yeah, I mean, like, Ireland haven't embraced the route of taking some professionals and send them into the Olympics. We have some really good ones in their early 20s who would have done quite well, I think, at this Games, but it's something Ireland haven't done. Britain haven't really done it, but some nations have embraced it.
Would the argument be on the Irish side, Kevin, that there's already enough boxers going through the system at amateur level, and that half the attraction of keeping them in the high performance unit is that they are competing with the intention to qualify for an Olympics, that if you start allowing professionals to come back and to regrade themselves for an Olympic Games, it might actually hurt the programme overall?
Yeah, I think so. A bit like the rugby, isn't it? Like, lads going to France and stuff like that, and then they can no longer play for Ireland. It would have been an interesting one, conundrum had we had like a heavyweight who'd since gone pro but had a high world ranking, got an Olympic slot. Would he have been welcomed back into the fold? I kind of think to strengthen the Olympic team, we probably would have said yes in this instance, just because of the interrupted nature of the COVID Olympics. But yeah, in future, I think if you turn professional in Ireland, you're not really going to get a slot back on the team for the Olympics.
When it comes to Billy Walsh, people probably saw the interview he conducted in the mixed zone area, which is kind of more like a car park during the week, where he spoke about Kurt Walker and Walker's defeat last weekend. And he was saying, look, I wanted my guy Reagan to win, understandably. Delighted he's won. But he said it was the most difficult thing possible to go up against an Irish fighter and to deny an Irish fighter a medal.
Yeah, like I think in 2016 he considered pulling out if Michael Conlon got through to fight against his guy Shakur Stevenson. He said as much to me recently he was thinking about not doing the corner at all, because only 8 months previously he led Michael Conlon to the world title over in Doha. So that was going to be a struggle. This time, he had to do his job, and he did it very well because they won the fight. Won the first round. That's what it was all about. He got his tactics spot on. He won the battle with Zor Antia this time. Fortunately, Ireland don't come up against the USA, or fortunately for him, Ireland don't come up against the USA too often. But yeah, he's had a good games out there, and boosted his chances going into Paris.
It's their best medal haul since 2000 Games, I think, going back to Sydney. So from that point of view, he has restructured American boxing. Will they be happy enough with the haul that they're actually bringing back under his stewardship?
I think so, but they want a gold. They haven't had a gold since Andre Ward. And they've got two chances now. Keyshawn Davis up against it, and so is Richard Torres Jr. But I think they'll probably want a goal. They will boost his name over there in America. And I was saying to him, he'll never have to buy a Bud Light again in Colorado Springs. But I think he's a Coors man himself. So.
Well, look, anytime he's spoken to us on the show, he says he enjoys it off there in the West Coast in America. Fantastic facilities, everything they could ever want in terms of a team, and a huge pool of boxers that they're able to pick from. Albeit he said that he has a huge problem with boxers wanting to go professional. It's difficult to keep them amateur for a game cycle. Do you see Billy Walsh staying in America long term? Because a lot of people who will have seen those comments during the week from Billy Walsh will think, hey, maybe he could be attracted back into the Irish team again in the future.
I don't really see a vacancy in Ireland at the minute. We know there's been a kind of heave against Bernard Dunn. There's a lot of people in the grassroots don't want them retained as a high performance director, but you look at Kellie Harrington, if she wins a gold medal, Aidan Walsh comes home with a bronze, his position is strengthened. And what would Billy Walsh return to? Would he become director? Would he become a technical coach alongside Zor Antia? Would he become a kind of squad manager? I'm not sure there's a vacancy in Ireland at the minute, but I guess that's all to play out after the Olympic Games. For his own personal ambitions, I'm sure he wants a gold. He's guaranteed 2 silvers anyway and a couple of bronzes. A great Olympic Games for America. He's getting his name out there. His reputation is growing over there. And I'm sure, maybe that he wants to see out the job, finish it out in Paris. And then I suppose, that's a long way down the road. We'll see where it goes then.
Bernard Dunn, when he goes into contract negotiations or whatever might happen with a deal beyond these Olympic Games, he will strongly argue, look, Aidan Walsh could have went further than bronze if it wasn't for a freak injury. Kellie Harrington could well be bringing back a gold medal next week. 2 medals back from these Olympic Games. He'll probably say, given all the circumstances, the difficulty in getting ready, qualifiers not taking place due to COVID-19, that 2 medals back is probably a very successful one for the Irish team.
Yeah, it's a good haul. Like, you know, you can't argue with a gold medal if it comes. Aidan Walsh did very well to get to the quarterfinals or to get to the semis, and unfortunately had to pull out. Like, I kind of look back. It's kind of look at the draw, though, isn't it, as well, Will? Because you look back at 2016, Stephen Donnelly, right, the welterweight, wins 2 fights over there, hard fights in Brazil, gets to the quarterfinals, loses to the world champion, Rabi from Morocco, on a split decision, right? So he's so close. It's 3-2 split, I think. He's so close to win the medal. And if that happens, is it a more successful games for Ireland? So it's all like Aidan Walsh in 2020, 21, gets a bye, gets a medal, and, you know, goes home undefeated. It's just such kind of luck at the draw, isn't it? Kellie Harrington is around a long time. Is Kellie Harrington, what's she a product of? She's a product of herself, the high performance, but, you know, Noel Burke, she says, Jimmy Halpin, her old trainer. So there's arguments to and for it. I think there's definitely a healing job that needs to be done in Ireland between the grassroots and the high performance unit. The head of the high performance unit, there needs to be a lot more kind of dialogue, communication. There's risks to heal, and either someone leaves, or, you know, because people aren't going to stop complaining, and people aren't going to stop being unhappy about the kind of what they see as the perceived lack of communication and inclusivity in Irish boxing. And the amount of guys who are going professional kind of speaks for itself. Like, you look at last night up in Belfast on the Michael Conlon show, you've Paddy Donovan, you know, tremendous welterweight. Like, he beat Aidan Walsh. He could have been the face of the games for Ireland and the face of Paris 2024. You know, remarkable talent. Andy Lee has him now, and he's in Andy Lee's corner. Like,
and I get the feeling that Top Rank are going to put an absolute rocket under Paddy Donovan, aren't they? I mean, last night I watched his fight on Fight TV. Like, he gets a great stoppage with an incredible body shot. He's able to talk. He's got Andy Lee in his corner. He's a really kind of impressive professional performer where you're going to get an entertaining fight from. This kid's getting a push. Yeah, he's class, isn't he? But, like, he's a young guy. Should he have been at the Olympics for Ireland? Now, like, Aidan Walsh did a tremendous job. Could Paddy Donovan have been at the Olympics? Could he be on the podium for a gold medal? Like, you know, so that's, I suppose, that's the issue that people in the grassroots in Ireland kind of are getting behind, and they want to see that sort of thing resolved with Bernard Dunn. But yeah, speaking professionally, Paddy Donovan's a great talent. But there's others as well. The McKenna brothers from Monaghan, you know, are really kind of making hay, and Queevy and Yarko from Belfast. There's a lot of young Irish pros that kind of should have been involved in this Olympic cycle, that for reasons that some of them have made clear and others not. Like Joe Ward turned professional during this Olympic cycle. You know, Michael Nevin from Portlaoise, the middleweight, so close to qualifying for the Olympic Games, decided to walk away. There's a lot of boxers that, like Michael Nevin should have been one of Ireland's best. Michael Nevin should have been one of Ireland's nailed-on Olympic qualifiers too. I mean, it was a few weeks before the qualifiers he decided to go pro. Yeah, mystifying, really. We haven't heard why. And that's unusual, you know. Why didn't he go to the qualifiers in Paris? We don't know, and that hasn't been communicated to us. And that's a situation we either have to accept, be unhappy about, I don't know. On a final note, I know something you've been tweeting about during the week, because plenty of League of Ireland fans, I think understandably, were up in arms about the fact that the 3 sides who were playing European competition weren't on terrestrial TV and they were being streamed, and it was out of sight and out of mind. Really and truly, since the last Olympic Games, we've had very little amateur boxing on TV, with the exception of TG Carr taking up the national finals. The nationals will come around fairly soon. There's going to be Europeans, there's going to be World Championships over the next year and a bit as well. Probably still no great prospect that we're actually going to see amateur boxing a whole lot on terrestrial TV here. Probably not. Like, I mean, you look at, if boxing and rowing have performed, if Kellie Harrington gets a goal, boxing and rowing come out of this all square, right? Out of this Olympic Games. Boxing and rowing seem to be in competition at the minute, but I think they're all just striving to win medals for Ireland. But like, if you take a step back, you see maybe a gold for Kelly, a gold for the rowers, and a bronze for Aidan Walsh, and a bronze for the rowing team. And you know, the World Championships are coming up in October, the Women's World Championships, the men's then as well. I don't think they'll be televised. We'll see if the rowing championships are televised. That's something boxing fans would have to be in their bonnet about. There's no likelihood of it being shown. For whatever reason, we don't know. Yeah. Like, boxing gets a lot of colour. The Kellie Harrington story is fantastic. You can talk all you want about her being a tremendous role model. People want to see her. But people haven't got the opportunity to see her. You know, she fought for the world title 2018 in New Delhi. It wasn't televised. Yeah. And then you have a superstar. And she still wasn't televised in her following tournaments. European qualifiers weren't televised. Massive deal. Like, great fights. Wasn't televised. So it's unfortunate for boxing fans. It needs to be rectified. Show the bouts if you want to see the colour. Kevin Byrne, many thanks for joining us on the Olympic show. When we come back after the news, we're going to be looking forward to the All-Ireland semi-final between Waterford and Limerick.
At Centra, we have everything you need with great offers. Like Centra Fresh Irish Whole Chicken 1.6 kilo, only €4.50. Mood Ice Cream Tubs 500ml, only €3.50 each. And until Sunday, Bulmer's Original and Light 20 bottle box, €19 each. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Sean, what's that thing going round the garden?
That is our new Husqvarna Auto Mower.
Auto mower?
Yeah, it's a robotic lawnmower from Husqvarna. Cuts the grass automatically, has GPS tracking and an app. Even works in the rain. I just thought, why spend time cutting grass when I could spend it with the family?
Great! You can put the dinner on, so...
At Harvey Norman, we've got all the biggest brands and the latest technology to start the school year off right. With great deals on printers, like the HP DeskJet all-in-one printer with 6 months of instant ink for only €55. Or save €30 on the HP Smart Tank Plus all-in-one printer, delivering uncompromising quality and up to 3 years of ink included. Now only $239. And at Harvey Norman, we're matching all competitors' prices, even their sale prices. Harvey Norman, back to school.